Okay, Chris, thanks for coming in for your evaluation today, mate. Just wanted to shoot a quick little video for you just as a recap so you know what to be thinking about until your next lesson. So let's go down the line first. So, the things that we talked about during your initial period of the session, if you like. Well, we spoke about your right hand grip a little bit, and we'll talk more about that from the face on view. But the big thing on the backswing was how you're taking the club back, the direction of your hands, and the direction of your left arm, right? And that then affects how you're able to turn. I think the way that we did it was if we put a little line outside. We've got Robert Rock on the right side. So put a little line there outside your hands. You can see as you start taking the club back, how your hands come outside that green line, right, to get to P2, position 2. Whereas when he takes the club back, you can see how his hands never come outside that line. They're always gradually moving inward of that green line, right? So that then at position 2, you can see how his arm is just slightly inward of his shoulder, whereas your arm is actually coming away from your shoulder, right? So that's the first thing to point out and illustrate. And then from that position, then you're going halfway back, then you start to see that with the pros, the club and the hands start to dissect through the base of the right bicep, right? So at this point, his arm's more across his chest, whereas as you go up to P3, your arm's only just a little bit inward of your shoulder, right? So his arm's a lot deeper. That's what we call that. His hands are a lot deeper, which basically means his arm's more across his chest, right? So that's the position that we're trying to get into. We're trying to get into that position better first, and then all we're doing from there to the top, we're keeping our arms connected, keeping a little bit of pressure under our armpits, and then just completing the turn, right? So it's just a little bit more from that position at P3, position 3, halfway back to the top of the swing is just a little bit more, look. Just a little bit more. And you can see as he gets up to the top, hands are just behind his right shoulder, right, just behind that green line. But the big one is how his right arm, his upper right arm, the underside of his upper right arm is still connected to his torso. Now, as you go up to the top, you can see how that right arm becomes really disconnected, right? So the elbows are really far away from one another. You can see his elbows are actually quite close together. Right, you could put a little ball in there or something, right? If you had a ball in there, that would just fall out because this elbow has moved away from your left elbow. The right elbow's moved away from the left elbow, so you got all this space underneath your right arm, right? So then, as we start to come down, and also your left hand is coming off the club a little bit. You can see that there. Right, and then you kind of re-grip it and come down. You actually do a pretty good job of getting the club back on a decent plane, right? You can see how the club comes back down and you keep the club head behind your hands, coming back down to P6. Most people would have the club out here somewhere by now, but you do a pretty good job of keeping the club behind your hands. But as we, so basically, we spoke about getting your hands more inward on the way back and your left arm more inward across your chest, and then just a little bit more up to the top. But we're really working on that halfway back position first. You got to learn to hit balls. You got to learn to walk before you can run, right? So it's just getting used to hitting balls from that halfway back position there, with good turn. Now the key is, if your hands move inward a little bit, that's going to help you turn your shoulders more, right? But then as we start to come down, now we've got to turn our body as we start to come down. So you can see as he comes down and hits the shot through impact, you can see just how much his hips and his shoulders have cleared, right, or turned the corner, if you like, right. And as you come down into impact here, hips and shoulders haven't cleared, right. So we've got a problem with our turns going back. We've also got a problem with our turns coming through, right. You can also see how this right foot's very planted on the ground. So you know, and we'll tell this more from the face-on view in a second, but that's a low point issue. So we haven't got our hips over our front foot, right? And then from the impact position where we haven't turned very well, just lifting the arms up to finish, right? So I hope that makes sense. Now looking at it from face-on. I think we used Grant Wade, didn't we, from face on. So we'll do the same again. We'll put some lines there, one next to his left ear, a couple outside of the hips, just some basic dots, right? And now you can really start to see what's going on with the grip. Right, so you can see how that right hand is too much in the palm. So your right hand's wrapped too much away from the target, if you like. What's called a strong grip with your right hand. Whereas you can see his thumb's just here, and his knuckle on his trigger finger is just there. Where your knuckle's here, right? So your hand's really kind of wrapped over this way. Right, or kind of underneath that way, right? That would be a better way of describing it, right? So we worked hard on getting your right hand placed on the club better, right? And then with regards to the movement back, not too bad in your takeaway from this angle, right? But already you can see the lack of, compared to the pro, you can see the lack of turn already, right? And then halfway back, you know, so halfway back he's almost got, halfway back he's almost completed his shoulder turn, right? His left shoulder is nearly underneath his chin, whereas you're nowhere near, all right? There's also an issue going on with the lower body, which we spoke about, right? You can see how, as he makes his backswing, you can see how his toes and knees are pointing outward more, kind of at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And that's just going to help facilitate the function of how the lower body works. So the right leg's going to straighten a little bit, left leg's going to flex a little bit. And you can see as he does that, the right leg's straightening, the left leg's flexing. You can see how it creates a little bit of space in here, right? So his hips are actually moving towards the target on the backswing, right? When you go back, if anything, your hips are moving away from the target, so you've just got a little bit of space in this side, look. Okay, so that's just the functionality. We'll do more of that in your next session. So about there would be where we want the club to stop moving back, right, with a better turn. But now you get up to the top and you can really see that right elbow coming away from your left elbow. And there's your long sort of swing, right? So all he does is he gets his arm and the club to there, and you've got the club and your arm way too long. Okay. And then the next thing to point out, and this is what I mean by low point control, is basically, if that's the center of his hips right there, what you're trying to do now is you're trying to move the center of your hips over your left foot at impact. So you can see the center of his hips now is over his left foot, and he's balancing on his left foot. All right. So first off, your hips have moved away from the target, which is going to make it very difficult to get them forward enough. All right, and you can see how your hips are just still there, not quite over your left foot enough, right? And then because of the lack of turn, you get quite a lot of flip in those wrists. So you see how those wrists are really flipping through. You can see how just after impact, how you've got this sort of angle with your left wrist. Just after impact, he's got quite a straight sort of left wrist. Okay, so all this is stuff we're going to work on moving forward in your golf swing, right? And then we kind of stopped you. So basically, you know, when I said we've got to learn to walk before we can run, it's basically we need to learn a halfway backswing, hands more inward, better turn, and then we've got to move our hips more over our left foot. So we've got to get used to hitting the ball more on our left foot with the hips over our left foot, and then just finish with a short little follow through. But you can see. So that would be his finish position there. So if we just stop him there, and what we call P8, which is when the right arm's parallel with the ground, and we look at his right pocket, well, you can see his right pocket now is over his left foot. If we stop you at P8 here, right, you can see your right pocket is actually still closer to your right foot, right? So we need your right pocket to move forward more, combined with a better turn, and then that's how we're going to practice coming through and hitting golf shots. Okay, so let's get you that was your before one, and this would be your after one, right? So you know, what are the things that we're looking for? We're looking for the arm to be more across your chest, right? So that's basically what we did in today's session. We worked on, right, let's get you in a better get your right hand on the club better, and then make sure those hands move inward, and that's why we've got those sticks on the ground there, right? So that yellow stick is just basically move your hands along the yellow stick. So that's so much better, look. That's so much better, right? So you pretty much nailed that, right? Hands are a lot deeper, more behind you. Now, just a little note with regards to why you thought that you would miss the ground coming down, right? And we pull up. We had Rocky, right? And we stop him sort of halfway back. What I want you to understand is we want the hands to move inward, right? So that the hands are going through the base of your right bicep here, right? So your left arm's more across your chest, which you've done, right? Which you've done there. But what I want you to pay attention to is the angle of your shoulders as you're doing it, right? So if I put a blue line across your shoulders and then I put a blue line across his shoulders, you can see the difference there. So his left shoulder is a lot lower, right? So what I want you to practice from now until the next session is, yes, I want a better grip with your right hand. That's important. I want you to move your arm more across your chest to get into that halfway back position, right? And then that'll be easier to get up to the top. And look how much better that is at the top now, right? But your shoulders are too flat. Okay, I want your shoulders to be, especially with a short club like that, I want your shoulders to be pointing down here. So that basically means your left shoulder has got to be a lot lower as well, right? So they're your two key points from now until next lesson. Move your hands inward more to help you turn, so your left arm's more across your chest. But as you're doing that, make sure that left shoulder is low, right? You can see Robert Rock's shoulder tilt. This is called shoulder tilt, right? Basically the angle that you've got your shoulders on. His left shoulder's a lot lower than what yours is, right? And that's why you felt like you would top the ball, or you would catch the ball very clean, because your left shoulder's just a little too high. So two key points: move your shoulder down lower, and move your hands inward more to get your left arm more across your chest. Okay, mate? Any questions? Just shoot me over an email. Cheers.